Hello and welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast. I'm your host, Dave Neal, and this is the second look-back show at some of the highlights of 2022 on Off Track. As always, remember to give us a follow, like, share and subscribe on the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and our fledgling YouTube channel. And just recently we set up our Telegram channel as well, so ping us a message on there and I'll add you into the chat. Just search for Off Track Podcast on them all and they'll take you straight to where you need to be. In this episode, we look back at our shows with Ben Currie, who joined us at Cadwell Park. Junior Superstock champion Max Cook dropped into the Hillier and Kyle Ryde Lounger to bake in Thruxton to talk about his career and the season so far, before we switch to the TT and James Hillier chats about his rally raid exploits, and then we round out with Jacksdale's finest, Kyle Ryde. First up, Ben Currie chats about his difficult time in World Supersport as he battled back from injury and his thoughts on the future. So without further ado, over to Cadwell Park, Ben Currie.
You know what it takes to do that, but then stepping into the World Championship, if you were sat back in October, November time, the opportunity comes up again, what would you do?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thanks, mate. Because that leads from where you sat now. I'll give you some time to think about it.
Opportunity-wise, it would have to be... Straight honest, if I was to stay in the World Championship next year, the opportunity would have to be bloody good. It would have to be lick your lips good.
Yeah.
Thinking, yeah, I need a bit of that.
We're having some of
Not
this.
just, I'm going to do it to stay in the World Championship.
That happens too often.
Yeah.
You're not outstaying your welcome, but you're also not... You're treading water.
Yeah, there's no point. You're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
You're kidding yourself. You're not going to go over there and beat those guys on, not a good bike, not a good crew, not the best fitness regime, which costs a lot of money, not the best, travelling plan, best hotels, motorhome at the track. I'm starting to count on, 300-400 grand exercise if you want to do it proper, serious level proper.
No question.
So that's what those guys are doing.
Yeah.
They're doing it to the level that you need to win the World Championship. So if you go over there and you're not doing it at that level, then there's no point going over there because you ain't going to beat them. Simple as that.
If you're not operating and thinking in the same way as I've forgotten his name. There's Dominic
Agata.
Yeah, who's the other one? The big lad.
Baldassari, Bulliger, these guys.
And Nico Bulliger as well.
They've got serious regimes.
Yeah, and this, if you're not doing that, you cannot compete.
No.
Because there was a time where World Supersport had kind of drifted away a little bit, but this season, last season, it's come back with a bang.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult now to take that step from BSB Supersport. It's not Sam Lowe's time.
It's now way harder.
Yeah, because you've got ex-GP riders coming in that have had that grounding.
Yeah. VR46 Academy riders, training every day, every week with Valentino Rossi.
And some of the stories I've heard of Domi Agata, his training's incredible for what he does.
Yeah, animal. I'm walking the track
and that's
on
just the girls
on a Thursday. Yeah. All right, okay. Don't know that side of things.
You don't? I'll tell you off air.
Yeah. Well, he looks like a bit of a boy, to be fair, but he's running past me on a Thursday, running laps of the track. He's just come from MotoGP racing the e-bikes, winning that championship as well, and you're just you're looking at him and you think you got life sorted for you. You know what I mean? You're putting the work. You're getting the results and you're happy as Larry. Yeah, I'm walking around with like a cripple on a Thursday, unfit, on a bike that's probably not going to do the business. And
wondering why the hell
and
you're
I'm
there.
thinking, and it's costing me money.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, the hell am I doing here? Yeah.
Which is understandable. And it takes
the doubt
a lot
creeps in,
to
doesn't it?
think that. And I think once you can have that mindset where you're not just in it for the kudos of being in World Supersport racing, you go hang on a minute, this isn't right. And I don't think anybody would, especially after hearing this, there's nobody that would raise an eyebrow if the best opportunity for you next season, was to come back to the UK, reignite that fire, reignite that hunger, whether it be in super sport, super stock, super bike, whatever. to take that opportunity to come back with a good team, with a good package, with a package that you know can put you on the podium and challenge for race wins, I don't think anybody would cast a doubt on that for you.
Yeah, I think I look at my career. My career is 9 years old, and I've done a lot. Like, that's from start to now, my career. And, I've achieved a lot. I've got to a high level. I've done a lot of stuff. And I'm looking back at it with a lot of experience thinking, shit, I've done a lot. Well, I've got another 10 years in me.
Easy.
So I'm thinking, right, my career is young. I've got a lot to do. I can... The next move needs to be a strategic, smart one to get my name back on the map and start winning races.
It's not difficult to take a step to the side or a step slightly backwards to take a bigger step forward.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've done that with the Superbike. Went to the Superbike. Similar sort of story. Unfortunately, hurt myself, got injured. Year wasn't great. Bike team were not on a great sort of wavelength. They were finishing their career and it sort of fizzled out, really. And then I stepped back into British Supersport and I got my name back on the map and I earned myself the opportunity to go into the World Championship. So there's many ways to skin a cat, and there's the be-all and end-alls. It's not Superbike. You don't have to be in Superbike to have a good career racing. Win
true.
British Championships in British Supersport, World Supersport. You can win World Championship. You don't have to win World Superbike Championship. You can go Moto 2. There's so many avenues at a high level to make a living and race for race wins.
A lot of the guys, when I have them on the podcast, and we go back to Matt Roberts for this one, and Dom Herberts and a few others, a book called Bounce, which is the story of a British and World Championship table tennis player, where people say, oh no, he's got talent. He's got talent. He's born with the talent. He's born with the talent. And it debunks that myth. So when you're looking at Domi Agata and people like that and Nico Buliga, when you think that, especially when where Buliga's come from.
Dark times.
Yeah. When he was the VR46 Academy, he was...
Golden boy, wasn't he?
He was the golden boy in the early days.
And then he got booted, really.
And then he got the flick. So when you see Domi Agata, I'm a big believer that the guys at the top of the game, are you top of your game in Supersport when you're allowed to be. It's all the talent is equal, but it's opportunity that makes
it's like the famous saying, like McGregor says, "This is not talent. This is not his rise." Everyone, you call it lucky. It's not luck. There's
the harder you work, the luckier you get.
And years and years of sacrifice and hard work, and that anyone that's made a good go at any sort of elite sport is off the back of hard work and determination.
Practice and opportunity.
And then you've got to have some luck to get an opportunity, something go your way, but then guess what? You got to be there to take it when it comes.
Exactly right, and realise it when it's there, because they're not always the most obvious opportunities.
Exactly.
So having the ability to recognise what the next step is also something that you can keep in your armoury.
Yeah.
So as we sit here now, everybody's leaving at the Cadwell. It's Saturday night. We've done FP1. We've had free practice Saturday. What's next for Ben Currie? Where do you go from Cadwell, and with what mindset?
I think we go back home, keep doing the things I'm doing. The next step would be, there's some things that I want to do and try. I think they're necessary now. Explore them options, see if I can gain a little bit from that area, and then we re-roll out in a couple of weeks in France, Magny-Cours, and we start again. We're just like, right, fresh start. We've had 4 or 5 weeks off now. I've recharged. Time to throw 6. Go for it. 6 rounds left in the season. Go for it. Let's get the maximum out of it we can. Finish in Australia. Look back, reflect, and then see what's on the table, And who knows? If it's back here in the BSB, back another year in the World Championship, I'm not sure. I am open to anything right now. But number one is to obviously win, like I said.
As we sit here, what's the perfect opportunity for you?
the perfect opportunity would be having. It's tough actually because
I'm putting you on the spot today, mate.
This is tough because I don't want to close doors. You see, I don't want to close doors.
It's not about closing doors. It's just
I think a really good. Okay, here I'll do the political answer. The political answer is number one on the list. Like I said, needs to be a good package and needs to win, but then it needs to have a pathway to something, whether it's back into World Championship or on a superbike. It needs to have progression.
Yeah.
So I need to be with an outfit that has that progression.
Visible progression.
That's it. I need to have a road. I need to be able to build a relationship with a team that can take me to the next level, work with people that are on the next level that can take me to the next level, because I feel like I've got so much more to give. You know, I've been doing what I've been doing, really, just me, doing it, learning, a bit of advice here and there, and people that I've sort of relationships I've made that I've got in my corner, you know,
Yeah.
But maybe it's going to take, you know, a key person, a team, a certain manufacturer to take me to that next level, and I feel like I can kick on, win British Championships. You know, I could have won a few by now, come agonisingly close. I feel like let me get over the line, let me win a British Championship or something like that, and then go back into the World Championship or go into British Superbike, something like that. I think that would be quite exciting.
For me, regardless of the World Superbike side of it, you have a huge amount of unfinished business here.
Yeah, I feel like for sure. I've come so close to winning a couple of British Supersport Championships. And yeah, it's something I'd really like to do. I think I'd like to win that. But I need the right package. I need the right people around me. And if I can find that, and if somebody's listening that wants to do that, ring me, because I'm all ears.
How profound the words became as he signed for Oxford Products Racing Ducati to race in British Supersport in 23 under the watchful eye of team boss Wilf Moore and team manager the fine Ian Hopcroft. We wish Ben all the best, and we'll catch up with him again soon, I'm sure. Max Cook is an undoubted talent. We've known for a while, but as he explained in the episode, Max dropped off the British Championship radar for a couple of years as he worked hard in Spain for a GP slot. Sadly, that GP slot never materialised, and he returned to the UK to chase his dream in junior superstock. This season, aboard the Binch Racing Ugly & Co Yamaha R6, Max has shown his true level with a stellar season. He's a great lad, and like fellow Swindon rider Charlie Nesbitt, a future British Superbike champion, we believe. So back to the heat of Thruxton, Max Cook.
FS3, how did that come about?
So Nigel has a detail I missed out going back a little bit. In 2017, my dad actually set up FS3's hospitality unit.
Oh, okay.
Because of Fab, there was a link there with one of the team sponsors at the time, and Fab Racing. So the FS3 hospitality was at Fab as well as BSB. So my dad was the one who set it up. And yeah, that's how we got to know Nigel. And then I won that championship in 17. So Nigel took quite a big interest in helping me, helping a young rider. So yeah, he helped me loads through when I was in Europe. He made sure I was fit, made sure my training was done properly. He's helped me, smart ass, what, 5th, 6th year. And then when, I told him, I was like, look, this has happened. He couldn't believe it either. And then he was like, look, we can help you out here. We can get you a bike. Don't worry, you're going to be racing next year. So
that's a weight off, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was going back and forth all winter, because I was tunnel visioned into, I just want to be in that Moto3, Spanish champion. I want to be there. And it was going back and forth for ages, and it was actually until I think it was late January, it was like, I've got nothing. And by then it's too late. Everyone's sorted.
Well, most people are sorted by the end of the previous season.
They were testing at that point.
Yes, everybody's already gone out.
And I don't have anything. And so that's when Nigel was like, look, I need to order this bike. We need to get it going. So yeah, I got the bike from Nigel, and he couldn't help me fully to run the bike. He helped me with any of the parts I needed, like and help K-Tech.
Yeah.
He helped with all those services, and everything was taken care of in that sense. But to actually physically run it, was down to me and my dad. But my dad was helping James, who's in the British Talent Cup.
Yeah, he was in the British Talent Cup.
So
the legacy was continuing.
Yeah, so a lot of it was down to me. I had to look after that bike. I put it in the van. I looked after it. I had a toolbox in the van. You know, I lived like, you know, a Guy Martin. You know, I looked after the bike, which was crazy to have. You didn't paid for the year before.
You used to have all the help that you had the year before to now
do it
kipping under the bike almost.
Honestly, it was crazy. But I learnt so much, and now I appreciate everything what's going into it. You know,
which is hugely important.
Yeah,
but to see both sides of it and to still be sat smiling, that would maybe a lesser rider would have crumbled at not getting the ride that they wanted. But you've got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and go, okay, that door's closed, this one's open, which then brings you back into the BSB paddock, into the Stock 6 Championship. Learning year last year. It's never an easy transition to go from Moto 3 to a Stock 6. The lines are different. I remember a few years ago chatting to Jordan Weaving about it, and I seem to think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the biggest single jump in power and weight that you will make through your career as you go Moto Star, as a for instance, to a Stock 6, going from 60 odd horsepower to 130 nearly, and 140, 50 kilos.
Yeah, about 160.
160 from the featherweight thing that you can pick up and turn around.
Yeah.
It's the biggest jump in power and weight that you'll experience.
Yeah.
How did you adapt?
Totally agree with that. Because it's a proper bike. When the Moto 3 is you're very wheels in line. You know, you can whack on the gas as high as you can, and it's not going to go anywhere because it's only got 50, 60 horsepower, and it's not going to go anywhere. And then narrow, skinny tyres. The Moto 3's are light, and you jump on a 600, and it's bulky. Like the fuel tank's massive, but everything's just
seats are wider,
big.
The tank's wider, the bars are further apart.
Yeah, everything's just really big. Like you're certainly not cramped on it. Like I remember sitting on the Kawasaki for the first time, and I was like, "Ooh, I could go on a cruise on this. I can take this out." But yeah, and actually getting to race it, the thing wheelies, it slides, it drifts, wheel spins, and you don't get that on a Moto 3. So it's you're learning how to ride.
Whole new riding style.
Yeah. So, and that, while having to maintain your bike and you don't want to crash it and all them stresses, it was a big year last year, totally. And I was really lucky. I've got another great sponsor, Neil. You see on my helmet, a lot of people ask questions, why you got Neil 44 on your helmet? And I tell him he owns an apartment resort in Tenerife.
Okay.
And he's seen a GoFundMe on Facebook about 2016-17 because he couldn't afford the crash damage, and he put the full amount in, and he was like, look, I'll come and see you. So that's another awesome sponsor I've got on board.
Perfect.
But without him and Nigel last year, I'd be at home, totally be at home, because you have got nothing. I didn't have a name here. No one knew who I was, because when you do go into Europe, you get forgotten about, which is a shame. But
you do by some.
I know,
because it wasn't televised particularly often, was it? You could get it on YouTube, and if people wanted to watch it, or via the MotoGP app with the guys from Dorna doing the commentary on it. But it wasn't mainstream televised, so it was trying to pick it up from streaming to see what the British guys were doing out there. It's difficult to find it.
Like, it's only the people who followed me on social media from when I was in BSB. They were able to keep tracking on Facebook or whatever, just to see how I was doing, because you never really know.
No.
You wouldn't know when it was going on. So that's what I struggled with as well last year. Is not many people knew who I was, and I didn't know them. I couldn't go to them for help, and it was quite a struggle. That's a massive struggle.
But out of that struggle again, because one thing I enjoy doing on the podcast is focusing on the positives.
Yeah.
To then have the opportunity to ride for the guys at Binch Racing. Zach Corduroy rode it to third place
Yeah.
last year, behind Jack and Joe. But he put in a fantastic performance. The bike was always mint. The delivery, I love. It's a fantastic. I was always a sucker for red and white. I'm sat here in black, blue, and gold, but I love a red and white livery. And a step then from the Kawasaki to the R6, which is a bit more of the bike to have. I think in Stock 6, that would be fair to say, wouldn't it? So how did that deal come about, and how have the guys helped you become the unstoppable force you are at the minute?
So again, this has a lot to do with Danny Webb. Actually, I was working, and I get a phone call, and he was like, Max, I've been talking with Dave. I think we should go to his house tonight. We'll have a meeting with him, just see what he's saying. I was like, all right, then, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Literally that night, he picked me up, and we went to Mansfield, and had a chat with.
Are you okay
Dave.
coming that far north?
Yeah, I'm all right. I coped.
Even it's only the Midlands, but it's still north for you.
Yeah. But anyway, it were great. I went to see him. I told him, what we've just been talking about, and I think he liked it. Yeah, I think he had a few other riders in the line as well. So he couldn't say yes at that meeting. But anyway, we spoke back and forth. I told Nigel what was going on, and Nigel liked the sound of it. And also, I'm close with Rory. I talked with Rory, and Rory just come off having a year at Appleyards.
Yeah.
He dominated, didn't he, in Super
Absolutely.
Sport. So he knows the R6 is good. So he's there saying, he's like, Nigel, get Max on that Yam. He needs to get on the R6.
Suit you, yeah.
Just because, they are the bike to be on.
Absolutely.
In the 600 class.
And Superbike.
Maybe. I don't think so. Not yet.
No, the Yamaha is. Not for you yet. But the Yamaha's a bike to be on.
Kawasaki's coming.
They're making steps, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're coming big time.
They're coming.
You pay homage to your team. That's the way. So you started with being. It was announced at the bike show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On the Ugly & Co stand.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not a stalker. I just kind of remember things. Difficult start to the season at Silverstone. We'll kind of gloss over that one.
Yeah, please.
A little bit, because I know that it kind of didn't go down too well. So the season started for you at Alton Park.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I know you set pole at Silverstone. You led every session.
Well, to be fair, no. We can go back to testing. Like that first Snetterton test was like. Obviously, I went with Binch knowing I just wanna win this year. I wanna just wipe the floor. I wanna sort of I come with that anger.
Remind people who Max Cook is.
Yeah. That's what I want. And I remember going out at Snet and just riding the bike, just enjoying it, just actually enjoying riding this bike. And I do a lap, and it's like P1. And it's like plus 1.2. I'm like, what? Hang on, surely this ain't right. And I do another one. It's like, yeah, and the gap's getting, and I'm like, this is amazing. And I see my lap time, and the lap time's like, it's really, really good. And already PBing what I did last year, and I thought the struggle all year I had, see it trying to break the top 10, top 5, and then to come round, it's just P1 plus whatever, and I'm like, what the heck?
It's a Max Cook show. So,
and then that was the mindset. It's just, I want that perfect lap. I want that lap record every lap. And from then, Silverstone, I'd go out and do 2 laps, and I'd see it would way under the lap record. I was like, okay, good. I'll come in and I'll just park the bike, and I'll just sit and wait.
Because you can.
It got like that, yeah. And we've done a lot of testing there anyway. So, and that's what I wanted to do. Alton, the same thing. I went and I wanted that record, because I think it was Mason Law who had it from 2015, I think.
Yeah, it would have been.
Hadn't been touched. No one went below the 40s in all them years. And it was Tyrone McKenzie, Mason Law who had it.
That's right.
And I just wanted it, and that's what I went for. And it was actually in that qualifying. I remember I put the new tyre in, And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for it now. And I went for it, and I was having all these moments, everything. I was like, yeah, I'm on it, coming over the crest, and I'm having wobbles everywhere. I'm like, I'm on it. And then I come in, and Dave was like, yeah, you done that 39, what you wanted, good job. And the old steering damper was just wobbling on the...
Jesus.
It was just hanging off.
And you've no idea when that broke?
I was just so focused on getting that time, and I thought I was on it.
Yeah.
I thought I was just...
So you just thought it was the bike moving around under what you were doing?
But my damper had fell off.
Your damper had fallen off.
So anyway, when the damper was fixed...
What could you do with a fixed damper?
I went like half a second quicker in the race, and I just obliterated... No, not obliterated, but I broke that record again. Yeah, twice. And we had 2 races that day, and... my fastest laps from both races were split apart by 0.001. Literally the same time, back to back.
That is ridiculous consistency.
I had my markers pointed everywhere. I knew exactly where to be and how fast to be there. And the lap time was just perfect.
We're absolutely delighted that Cheshire Moulding's FS3 Kawasaki have taken a chance with Max on their superbike. Just like Rory Skinner before him, Darren, Nigel and the team know just how to develop a young rider on the big bike, and we're looking forward to watching his progress with the 5 other rookies in 2023. Yes, we said 5. Count them. There's still one to be announced yet. James Hillier is currently out in Saudi Arabia competing in the 23 Dakar, the most prestigious rally raid of them all. We caught up with the TT legend in the shadow of the grandstand back in a glorious summer, where he told us about the decision to give the ultimate in off-road racing a try. Ladies and gentlemen, James Hillier.
Moving away from the TT and the roads, talk to me about the rally. Talk about the off-road, because that's fascinating. I don't know too much about that. I used to watch the Paris-Dakar when I was a kid, and I kind of have an idea of how it works. But what was the attraction to go rally raid?
I think because it's just a bloody hard race, you know. I like to weirdly I don't know if I enjoy it, the actual motion of going through something tough. I don't think I do, but it's the satisfaction of completing it or getting to the end, you know, against the odds. That's I like it's almost like when someone says you can't do that, and I just want to prove them wrong, you know.
It's all about the challenge.
Determination and hunger, I guess. You just got to... David Knight's over there, they're talking of rally racing. He did Dakar last year, so I'll be picking his brain a little bit. I think it's a case of doing something that's not you know, there's always, in a lot of things I look at
not
it, not normal, but also there's always excuses not to do stuff or a reason not to do something. So I like to not necessarily find a reason to do it, but I just don't like excuses, you know. I'd rather soldier through and just be out of my comfort zone, I guess.
We did the Rally of Andalusia last summer, on the podium in the newcomers, which is an incredible...
I forgot that, yeah.
I'll remind you.
Yeah.
Things have moved on since then, obviously, but for your first ever official, and it was qualifying for the Dakar for this year, which unfortunately we didn't take the option on that, but to go and do that rally raid with a new crew, you got the experience of Derek, who has vast experience. We've christened him Dakar Derek these last couple of weeks because that's what he does. But taking yourself and Derek and Darren out there to go and do that and to bring back the result you did was pretty special on your first attempt.
Yeah, and I probably... Some of the rally, you know, it was all new to me. That the whole navigation thing was quite new to me, and I probably, looking back on some stages, I think I rode too fast because... not really out my limit, or beyond my limit, but or ability, but just maybe a little bit too much risk, perhaps, considering the situation. We just had to get to the finish. But I think in some sections, if you're not riding hard and fully concentrated, my mind would wander, and I'd start thinking about stupid stuff and not really concentrating where I was. So I was almost safer riding fast, fully focused on what I was doing, rather than taking my time and thinking about dinner or, you know, whatever stuff. So which on the other rally, which we did in February, Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, I that was a new thing again, being off-piste in the dunes in the sand. But that one I took a step back a little bit with pace and just tried to rest a little bit more. That was a longer rally, definitely more physical, but I wasn't chasing a position. Not that I was Andalusia chasing a position, but I don't know. I just took a little bit of a different mentality to that one, and it was more for safety, I think, because Andalusia was a lot of gravel tracks and dirt roads, a bit like following a sat-nav, lefts and rights, whereas in the desert there was a lot of turns we had to make off on compass reading, but also the big drops, which you could really, really hurt yourself incredibly badly very quickly. Things can go from okay to terrible immediately, and so I think I kind of rolled off a little there with that one, just to be super safe from any drops or danger zones, I suppose.
Did you manage to read them quite well, or were there a couple of times where you suddenly went,
No, I was on the road, but all the time. I missed one waypoint the last day, but there was a section where we crossed like another track, and there was these old lorries driving down this sandy road, and it caught me out a little bit, and then there was a few bikes riding around in circles. I think a few guys missed this waypoint, but yeah, I would say, honestly, some of the sand dunes, they're mountains, they're not dunes. They're like, and it would be like riding off that tower, the top of that tower with some of them. I can't quite, a little bit like spectating here. You can't. I can't tell you. You'd have to see it to fully think, wow, and the TV and onboards don't at all do it justice. So. And once you've ridden up to one of those drops, you don't want to. It makes you realise that I do not want to outdo one of these and find myself flying 100 foot up in the air. So I think a little bit like racing around here, the whole risk factor is constantly there. You're aware of the potential risk and dangers of drops and stuff. So another reason why I think I just rolled off a little bit in the Abu Dhabi rally.
I must mention Paul Curran and John Lee were out with you on the Andalusian rally, because I don't want to name check anybody that I've missed out. Who else was there? So there was Dakar Derek, there was
Ginger Dave,
Daz Barker, Paul and John Boy.
Yes,
so that's a good strong crew, and a lot of them work with you here.
Yeah, I think they was
on the road.
I think it was a little bit then we didn't have the full plan in place of who was going to be doing what, but so we took the more than we needed. There wasn't much thumb twiddling, but they all enjoyed it and all got a taste of it to kind of going forward. A couple of them will be coming with us when we go Dakar, so but it was a good team experience. It was new for them, early starts, and bike preparation's different a little bit like here. You have to build the bike bulletproof really, and plan ahead with carrying what spares to take with you in case you break a lever or whatever, and air filters and so on. It's quite a lot of forward planning, a little bit like this job.
There's a lot of similarities from what I can tell with how you approach the rally to how you approach here. Like I say, it's risk management, it's knowing how far you can push and what you can and can't do. What preparations did you do in terms of orientation, map reading, navigation, that kind of? Was there much you could do, or just learn the symbols on the scroll?
It's hard. Again, a little like here with the fact you can't fully prepare for that. I learned the symbol as best I could and had plenty of questions for the guys with experience, but you can't beat time in the saddle reading the road book. So I did 2 days out with Lyndon Posket in Spain, and it was quite funny because the first half a day I'd not missed markers, but I found myself stopping. I'd missed bits and pieces, and then it kind of almost just clicks, and then you can process them together, and it kind of works. You start with your peripheral like this, taking everything in, and then as you learn what you do and naturally don't need to read, you're not reading everything on the road, but you're just reading the distance, maybe a particular symbol for a pylon, so you look for a pylon, or after the road you turn. You know, you focus on the information you actually need over kind of trying to process everything. And a lot of that information you don't actually need to know. You know, it has a purpose being there, but it's not detrimental to, you know, it's which again only comes with experience, and I've got a lot more still to learn with that. But yeah, it was interesting and very tiring, because your brain's in working overload to read the road book, and then translate that to what your body's reacting to stuff, and taking in what the bike's doing, and road, you know, thinking of fuel and food, and have a drink, and geez, someone's behind me, or, you know, catching that guy, look out for that, and this, and, you know, it's intense for, you know, some of the days. I think the longest day may have been 8 hours, you know, in the saddle. So
long time.
Yeah, with a lot going on, you sleep pretty good.
In the bivouac.
Yeah.
When's the next one? Do we know? Have we got anything planned in yet before the Dakar?
No, it's open at the moment. We're nothing set, but we'll be doing something. Yeah, maybe in November time. Don't know what yet, but yeah, we have to do another one really before Dakar, just to recap a little bit, and you know, because it would be almost a year since I did, by then, since the Abu Dhabi race. So we just wait and see what there's a few on the calendar, but down to Derek really, sort of managing that side of the racing, and organising it with Paul to get it set and organised in place.
With 2 stages already under his belt as I record this, we really hope that James can make it to the finish. That achievement alone will be quite something, and we wish him all the very best in his quest. Kyle Ryde's talent on a motorcycle is unquestionable. The multiple British champion had the best BSB season of his career in 22, but the first couple of seasons weren't all plain sailing. As his press officer realised halfway through the season, Brands Hatch was only the end of season 2 for the youngest ever 125cc British champion, and he was already on his 3rd manufacturer. If you remember that 2020 was only a 6-round series, it did make sense that Brands was only the end of season 2. That 3rd manufacturer was a Yamaha, and it helped him secure his first showdown spot, as well as a win and a raft of podiums for the OMG racing team. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Ryde.
I remember distinctly being out at Cartagena the day you threw the leg over the R1 for the first time, and after a real difficult roller coaster season on the BMW in 2021, to go to Cartagena and get on the R1 for the first time, what was it like for you?
Yeah, it was just a bit of breath of fresh air really, just with not even lap time wise, that was not too great on the first day. If anything, I was a little bit worried. I'm like, the bike feels good, but the lap time's pretty pants, to be honest. But the feeling was really good, and obviously, when a bike does what you want it to do, and it was just amazing, really. The bike did what you wanted it to do, the speed you wanted to go at, it did. And every time you got a bit more confident, the bike let you do what you wanted, just do what you want to do. So. Yeah, it was just, when we finished that test, obviously Brad broke the lap record, everything was just positive, so we just couldn't really wait to get back obviously to the UK and do a bit of testing. And as you know, when we went to Silverstone and stuff, it was almost like we couldn't do anything wrong, which is always a nice feeling.
You spent a number of seasons on an R6. You did it in juniors, in what was Stock 6.
Yeah, Stock 6 Super Sport.
Super Sport as
World
well.
Super Sport.
And World Super Sport. So you know what an R6 feels like. What was it like getting onto the R1? Did it kind of feel like coming home almost?
Not really. The only thing that reminded me of it was obviously riding Alan's bike, which is obviously an R6, and I did a few track days on that last year when I was feeling really low. And obviously, bike racers will relate who listen to this. You do 6 months of not getting a good result and struggling and changing bike setup. You actually forget. You think that you forgot how to ride a bike, and that's it. But yeah, I did the brave boy thing and rang Alan and said, look, can I borrow your bike and have a little play on it? And yeah, I rode around Cadwell on it, and it brought a smile back on my face. And we come here, even though it was raining, but we come here 2 days later, and I finished on the podium in the wet. So yeah, it's just nice being able to ride a bike where it does something that you want. So yeah, obviously the R1's definitely like that. I can't relate the R1 in 2022 to 2016. It's too much of a difference, and obviously I've rode a lot of bikes in between that, including a Suzuki and a BMW, so it's very difficult to compare. But yeah, riding Alan's R6 definitely felt
very similar, except obviously it's got an extra 100 horsepower or something stupid. So yeah, definitely was a bonus riding Alan's bike.
The good thing as well for you, for your superbike career, you've podiumed every manufacturer you've ridden for, and you've won with 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Which, at times last season, did you doubt yourself?
Oh yeah, all year. It was only like when we come here. Obviously, I finished on the podium on the Sunday in the wet, but on the Saturday, even in qualifying, I think I qualified 6th in the dry. To me, on that bike was a real achievement for me anyway, because I felt so rubbish all year. And it's just mad how things change. Obviously, you go through winter this year, different bike, knowing that we're going to be on different bikes, do even more training, stuff like that, and you turn up and it's so easy to... And all I'm doing is the same as I did last year. Last year I was riding the same as what I am now, except now, day in, day out, a top 5's like... the odds are 1 to 1, do you know what I mean? Where last year it'd be like 10 to 1 to get in the top 5, so very soul destroying when something's just quite not clicking. So obviously every rider goes through it. Even, I mean, look at the speed Brad's been at the last couple of meetings, and even Brad last year didn't even make the showdown. So it's an obvious occurrence that bike maybe is good enough to win a championship, but it definitely didn't suit us pair, and obviously the Yamaha does.
It completely does. You both had great successes over the years on it. Going back to Alton Park, not this one last weekend, but the original Alton Park round, it's fair to say it wasn't, and probably still isn't, your most loved circuit. But one thing you did was sticking on the podium at Alton Park at the start of the season, which for me watching that, for somewhere that isn't one of your favourites, was at the time probably one of your career highlights, apart from the wins at Silverstone with the Suzuki. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously Alton Park is a bit of a, not a bogey circuit, because obviously I've done there well in the past, but going there on the superbike I was definitely a bit nervous, because obviously I rode the Suzuki there and the BMW, and yeah, lap times wise wasn't too bad, but in a race scenario I was never great on either bike, so I was a bit worried about going there. But I think for example, if my average position for the last 2 years was maybe a 12th there, I think on the Yamaha it would have been about 6th, but I've definitely done a lot more fitness training this year, so I think that's ramped it up a little bit as well, which has probably turned that Alton Park into a 3rd and 4th that we have, which was, yeah, like you said, I was even impressed with myself.
Which takes a lot, I've found, over this year.
Impressing myself?
Yeah.
Your
standards are high.
The ninth place I just had at the last weekend, from basically last on the grid. I was pretty impressed with that. So, and obviously that was kind of my target. I thought if I get a good I was even thinking on my bike, it was funny, I thought I get a top 10 here, I can imagine Dave's little post saying what an amazing achievement from last on the grid, and that's the sort of stuff we think about while riding around. It's mental.
And I didn't let you down.
No, and I even got a single figure digit, whatever you call it.
Yeah, single digit finish.
Yeah.
Which, it's a tough place to overtake on, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think you have a lot of respect still riding a superbike. I think respect for the bike, because they are big, they are powerful around Alton Park. Everybody's the same, but it comes with experience, especially Alton Park. Cadwell's is a very similar scenario, and probably worse because it's narrower. For you as a rider, how did you approach that Alton Park weekend the first time?
What, at the start of the year, or?
Yeah, the start of the year.
I mean, I just come off winning here, and obviously I know I crashed the day after, but the confidence was still there. Obviously they fixed the bike, and I went and finished 5th. I was only like 4 seconds off the win after that, so the confidence was high. And yeah, when we turned up to Alton Park, I didn't expect anything. I knew Brad was going to be fast. I knew a couple of the doers like Hickman that are big and strong, they was going to be fast. And yeah, I didn't even make it into Q2 on Friday. And we found something as a team. And yeah, I had a bit of a slipstream off Brad in qualifying. That bumped me up to, I'm not sure, like a 34.2, something like that. And then we set off for the race, and I was straight into the 33s, and it was a dream and easy to ride. It's just mad how that circuit works.
Were you pole? I can't remember.
I was pole.
You were pole, weren't you?
Yeah, it was wet.
Yeah, and mixed conditions.
Yeah,
I remember you were on, but
I was in the perfect place, perfect time. I was the last person across the line. I just made the most of it. And I think it's my only pole this year.
I think. From qualifying?
From qualifying, yeah. I've done a few fastest.
You've done a few fastest laps. You had pole here in the third race back in May.
Before I crashed. Yeah.
No.
It was.
Oh, you put the lap in.
The lap before.
Yeah, the lap before. Yeah.
That was pole.
And then it put you on pole and then finished fifth with a bike that was rebuilt inside 2 hours.
Yeah. It's not too bad, yeah.
It's not too shabby, is it? Not too shabby. And we had the same issue last weekend as well.
Well, yeah.
Where the bike was rebuilt in 20 minutes.
It was just a shame. If someone had told me, look, Kyle, there's only 16 people starting this race, because I think that's all that there was.
Something like that, yeah.
You've only got to just ride round and you might get 3 or 4 points, but at the same time I was so G'd up. I thought, if I get a good start here, I can get on the back of the bunch, maybe get a top 10, and obviously I just was a little bit too giddy, a little bit too tight coming out of turn 1, and I sided, unfortunately. Brought Tom Neve down with me, but yeah, the boys obviously did an amazing job fixing the bike, making it feel like mine again for the last race. And yeah, I took my time first few laps, as I should have done. I think that was the sensible thing to do. And yeah, just picked them off one by one and finished 9th. So it was a good result in the end.
Excellent result. But also, when you look back at your superbike career, this is season number
3.
It is number 3, isn't it? So you think the COVID season was only 6 races?
Yeah, it was only half of, yeah.
We didn't race at Cadwell.
No.
So last season on the BMW was a tricky one.
Well, I broke my heel at Cadwell, so this was the first time I've ever rode at Cadwell.
I was coming to that. Yeah. Testing it. So people forget that you are still in the nicest spot learning your trade.
Yeah.
Brad started 2017.
Yeah.
It's 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's double, at least.
Double of what you're doing. And I think a lot of people forget that, because 19 you were GP2 champion.
Yeah.
And this is only your 3rd season and 3rd manufacturer.
Yeah.
So having that consistency, it hasn't been there, has it? So you've been fighting.
Yeah, that's it. To this day, I still tell myself, if I'd have stayed with Suzuki, which I had a chance to for last year, but for sure I'd have been in the showdown. I know I would. That bike was really good, like as in similar to the Yamaha. Definitely at some
suited
tracks.
You more than BMW, didn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, in my rookie season at Snetterton, for example, my pace was even stronger then than what it was this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Lap times were better than this year?
Yeah, 3-4 tenths a lap on the Suzuki. I had a problem and I was last, and I caught a few people up and finished 9th, and I set my fastest lap on the last lap, and it was still quicker than what I went this year in the race 3 years ago. So the bike was obviously really good. And I do know that if I'd have stayed, then what was I going to say? I'd have been in the showdown for sure. It's just like everyone knows, you've only got to look at people like Taz and Jason, and obviously they both obviously stand out and very good, very exceptional riders, and they've just had consistency in the career for the last couple of seasons, and it's definitely showed. And yeah, they've obviously day in day out they're odds on to finish on the podium, aren't they? So yeah, that's all it needs.
It's Taz's 5th season on the R1.
Yeah.
So it's not to be sniffed at what you're doing and where you are now. Where somebody asked me the other day, who on a different podcast, who the most underrated rider is in the championship, and I said you, because for what you're doing,
when it clicks, people will definitely realise. Yeah.
But this is what happened to Brad this year,
yeah.
And your time will come. You're still building, you're still working up to that.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to. The last thing I want now I'm in a position where I know if it carries on, I can do these good things. All you need to do is have the same people trust in you, and let's go again. Do you know what I mean?
A second season on the OMG Racing Yamaha R1, a new teammate in Ryan Vickers, and a new point system rather than the pressure cooker of the showdown, I think will play nicely into Kyle's hands. He's ready for a big season in 23. The continuity of the R1 and his crew will be vital, and he'll be challenging for podiums and wins from round 1, race 1. Thank you again to all our guests in 2022, and to you all for listening. Whether you've been here since the early days and helped us grow, or you're a new listener that's only recently found us, you're very welcome. We're grateful for your support. Remember, it's your show as much as ours, so get in touch via the socials. You know where we are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all the usual places. Just search for Off Track, the Motorcycle Racing Podcast, and drop us a message. We'll be back with a couple of shows over the month before we hunker down and get things ready for the relaunch with our brand new look and our brand new co-host, Mr. No, I'm not going to tell you just yet. And we can't wait to get started. Until then, look after each other. Bye-bye.